everybody. How you doing? Hope you're having a wonderful Thursday. I know I am. I want to welcome you to a brand new Ike's Bytes. This is episode 2, show 2, and we got a good one for you today. And in today's show, in just a minute, Dan Spengler is going to be joining us, and Dan is the man when it comes to hard baits, hard lures, understanding them, creating them, dialing them in. We're going to have Dan on here in a second, and we're really going to take a deep dive, guys, into hard bait fishing. I'm excited about this. If you're watching or listening and you're a fishing geek like me, this show is going to give you a lot of insight into things you probably didn't know. Really going to look at the science of stuff, the behind the scenes of stuff over the next 12 or 13 episodes. I can't wait. We're going to have some great folks up there from Spirit Lake, of course. So designers, engineers, scientists, but you're also going to hear from some pro anglers, guides, other people in industry. And this is going to just be a fun series. So first of all, shout out to everyone that tuned into our first episode. It was awesome. We talked about line. If you're watching this now and you said, there was a first episode? What? You can go back and watch it anytime. Head on over to the Berkeley YouTube channel, and you could also see it over on my YouTube channel as well. Second thing I want to remind you guys, listen, this is the kind of show where input is critical. We want to hear from you. As Dan and I start flushing this stuff out, if you've got a question, a comment, you're not sure about something, put it up, and we're definitely going to put some of those comments through as the show goes on. Last but not least, we're going to try something new here, and I didn't even get pre-approval for this. I'm just going to go with it. We're going to do a little like and share contest during this episode, and if you're watching this, if you want to like it and share it as you're watching it, share this feed. At the end of the show, we're going to pull a random name from the likes and shares, and we'll send you something really, really special. All right, enough of me talking. Let's get him on right now. And before I introduce Dan here, I do want to, this cracked me up because I love these long titles. Here's Dan's official title. Here it goes. Senior Project Engineer, Bait and Terminal Tackle. That's a great title. Mine's a lot shorter. Mine's just Dumb Pro Angler, which is shorter. But let's get him on now. My friend Dan Spengler joining us up from Spirit Lake. Dan, what's up?
What's up, buddy? How are you doing?
How you doing?
Awesome. Every day is awesome.
Every day's well. I right before you came on, I said that's quite a title that you have. I love the in-depth nature of that title.
Yeah, it took a while to get it. That's why it's long.
It's long. Here's something I want to say. But first of all, how long have you officially been with working with Berkeley?
15 years as of last September 14th. So remember to this day, like 2010, September, that date lived in my mind forever. So
that's awesome. Well, when we started thinking, and we've got all these topics over the next 12 or 13 episodes we're going to talk about, and one that was written down was hard baits. And when that came up, it took like a millisecond to say Dan's our guy for this show. So I appreciate you coming on, but I don't want to start right with the baits. I want to get into your story just a little bit. I want to dive into your story because I feel like our stories are a little different, but very similar in many regards. And so let me set the stage for people watching and listening. So for a lot of young people, young kids, for me, it was 10, 11, 12, that age, when you stop and dream about doing something. A lot of these kids dream about football, baseball, pro sports, getting into acting, being a movie star, something like that. Dude, for me, it was fishing. I think it was the same for you. Tell me, how did you get into this mess?
Oh, man, where do I begin? So first things first, I grew up with a rod and reel in my hands. My dad and my mom, they were avid outdoors folk, and they took me fishing everywhere. My sister and I, we would go. I was in the boat, I was on the bank, wherever we were going, family trips, we were always fishing, always a rod and reel in my hand. And then later on, like I would say like 8 or 9 years old, I befriended other kids in my class that liked fishing. I vividly, like you said, 11, 12. I don't know why. I just keep going back to that because all we did was we rode our bikes around town, very small town, Iowa. It was a lot like Stranger Things, the show, except for we rode our bikes around and did nothing. There, nothing happened. So we went fishing. We went
There were
to
no monsters. The
there
only
was
monsters
no
were
there
the
was
fish.
no monsters. But we did find the fishing holes and we did everything. We skipped little league baseball practice, got kicked off the team because I went fishing too much. But that's to be honest, that's where it all happened for me, is just befriending kids my age that love to fish. And we had this group and we would just fish every day. I
Yeah.
actually like started creating my own baits at the age of like 9 years old because
Wow.
I just love fishing. My mom would take me like grocery shopping, and she'd drop me off at the fishing aisle. I'd stare at it for like an hour, look at all the baits. But started making my own baits. I actually brought some here. My first bait I ever made when I was 9 years old was an inline spinner.
Whoa, look at that.
Yeah, with a paper clip. I watched a lot of MacGyver growing up. So
That's so
and
awesome.
that continued to evolve. I got a whole bunch of baits here. I'm not going to show you them all, but continue to make baits. Here's like a wooden lure I made back in high school. I wood burned it, tried to do all this kind of crazy stuff. I fastened a spinner blade to it and bent it and used a little tiny screw to put in there.
Oh man.
Gusted them in my horse tank. Got a pocket knife from when I first made lures. I found this on the bank of one of my fishing spots. And it's kind of interesting to know and think about like what this meant to my life.
Yeah.
This one pocket knife that I found in the bank fishing, where it led me.
It's so
So
well. I let me tell you, you ended up in the right spot, and you know it's funny how life works. But you are really living a dream job,
that's
and
right.
every time I come up to Spirit Lake, I tell you guys this. But honestly, like I'm such a fishing geek. If I didn't end up on the fishing side, man, I sure would like to be somewhere up there with you guys. Because I every time I'm up there, I just absolutely geek out. Now, I do want you to tell another story, and I know you have
Yeah.
another piece of memorabilia. So this one goes back to my childhood. So this is, again, you know, for me, it's probably 11, 12, 13 years old. And this is some old school original power bait. This is the Neons series, which I'm dating myself here because I actually own these, but that's old. But yeah, like I look at that and I get very nostalgic, and I remember it's like part of why I'm doing this now is that error. You've got a similar story. You got a bag too. You want to show us?
That's right. Well, first I'll just kind of mention, like when I was talking about the kids and I fishing, it was really influential. We went to seminars. We got baits from some of the older people that like to fish. And growing up, I lived 25 miles west of at the time, the Berkeley headquarters was here in Spirit Lake, Iowa. And so we had access to Berkeley power bait, and some local guides gave me power bait. I fished, we used to just cast out a plain night crawler and let it sink, and the fish would bite it, pull your line tight, you caught them, right? Well, took a power worm, weightless, threw it out there, and I'm like, I don't know, 10. And the bait slowly sank down. The fish ate it and they held on to it. And just like a night crawler, dude,
Yeah,
they ate it. So I was
yeah,
convinced, and my friends, we became obsessed with Berkeley baits, Berkeley power bait. So that just goes the importance of like seeding kids or getting the power
yeah,
bait and whatever to their hands, because without that moment in my life, I probably wouldn't be here today.
yeah.
So I do have something. I have an OG pack,
Oh,
and it's lived in my tackle box. This is actually 1991 original bag of power bait, unopened.
wow,
Um, Stimulates active feeding. So
wow.
And I was wondering do you think we should rip these? Should we open these?
I think we should open. I want to open mine and see.
All
This is
right.
a long time.
See if they still smell the same. I can't believe I'm doing this. All right, here goes nothing.
Oh, wow. I still have power bait.
Oh my gosh. Smells like money.
This is amazing. This is unbelievable.
Brings back the childhood memories right here. So
first of all, how is that possible? It still smells like power bait all these years later.
Well, I guess we got good preservatives in this stuff. Yeah, I mean, no doubt you could go out and catch fish the day these were made, or I guess 30 some years later. So pretty cool.
Oh my gosh. I love seeing that. I love everything about it. Even the smell takes me back. So I love that.
You got no idea. Here's another part of that story. See this big bag?
Yeah.
So we all of us guys, we were fishing, but there's people that worked here. And so there was a girl, and she actually rode our bus, but she knew we liked to fish. So she would bring these. Her mom must have got them here from work or something, got them for a good price or something. But these bulk packs on the bus, and she would like sell them like a drug dealer to us, and we'd fight each other for them, all kinds of shapes. And we ended up going to my mom's basement, and we played poker for the power bait. So I called it power poker. So the basement smelled like power bait. My mom comes down. It's like, what are you guys doing? You're all going to get high. What is this smell? And no, it's mom. It's poker for power bait. It's power poker. So we were like that. So that's how much we loved fishing. We loved power bait, and it was instilled in us at an early age. And I mean, I love all the memories about it.
Yeah. Yeah. I love that reminiscing of why we got into it, why we're where we are today. And you're in the perfect spot, Dan. I want to change the conversation now, and I want to talk about hard baits and hard baits. And I want to start with a little history. This has been a fun part for me. And I know Bernie Schultz. Bernie Schultz is another pro angler that we fish with. I've had Bernie on the Ike Live podcast before. And Bernie is one of the premier lure collectors in the United States. And some of the stuff that he has from, the late 1800s to the 1940s and 50s is incredible. But so James Hedden, often credited with creating one of the first hard lures. A lot of those early lures were wood. I think that goes back to the 1890s. I've got in my possession here, I don't even know. This is most basic.
That's a lazy Ike.
That's a lazy Ike.
Someone
gifted that thing to me. I actually have another one, but I have one in the box. But I guess the first question is, how unbelievable is it to think about it from those terms, from a very basic lure carved out of wood that had this movement and action that the fish never saw before, that created this ability of that fish to bite it, to now 2026, Dan, when you look at what Berkeley is doing with hard baits, how they are revolutionizing and changing and adapting and creating these amazing, like that to me blows me away, because I've got to go up there and see you guys engaged in this, but it blows me away. Let's start there. Like, how's that process now, all these years later? So I can imagine, like, there's James Hedden, and he's like you when you were a kid. You got that pocket knife, and you're whittling, and now you guys are just like, literally, this stuff is technically modern, and you're creating these amazing baits: the dime, the stunner, the money badger, the chopper, like all these things. Let's start there. How you guys certainly aren't whittling wood anymore, right?
No, it's highly advanced today, and it's very fast paced and rapid. What we're ability to change directions at any second when we're designing a shape or constructing, say, like a bill that fits on the front of a lure, tweaking that and making and fine tune adjustments. But it all starts with, like, basically you come up with a concept or a design, you have it, you draw it out on paper, we'll put it into CAD, we'll get it all finalize like a body shape first. It always starts with the body shape. Like, what are we targeting? Are we targeting a shad or a crayfish or
Yeah.
some type of bait fish like a herring or a shiner? And then we start off that platform. Like, I got to nail the platform. Then we start thinking about things like diving bills, right? So the lip on the bill and the pull point, those are two of the most critical things with a bait that drive an action in a bait. And then we just have this amazing facility at Berkeley Labs. Like, we have the top engineers, scientists. I have a master's degree in fisheries, by the way. So, you know, we have chemists that worked on all the gulp and the Maxent and power bait through the years, like some true legends. And we have all these great people we work with, and we bring in all the pros like you, and we start trying to understand the bait first and foremost. Like, yeah, back in the day, the head and lures and anything else that came before, those baits, a lot of them were trial and error. Like, when I made my own wooden lures, I was hand carving these shapes, and it was a rudimentary process, and it was changing bill angles with the pliers and swimming them in a tank to see if they would swim. That, and I think that's kind of where you see a lot of different companies today. And that's the difference that I think sets us apart, is we have the research and ability to do the science behind the bait,
Yes.
which I'll get into. But
Yes.
like, if you think of a bait where somebody just builds a bait and they pull it through a tank, how many times have we heard of that? That's how they make the bait. Yes,
Yeah.
it swims through the tank. That feels and looks like a hard bait to me, the angler, and it's done. And then it goes off and they make a mold and they put it on the shelf. With us, totally different. Let me show you. Here are 4 tackle boxes, right? There's over 140 different prototypes in these boxes
Yeah.
to just put 4 baits on the shelf. So
What?
this is the Berkeley Dime series. We got a 4, a 6, a 10, and a 15. So just to put,
Wait a minute. Hold on a second.
right.
Hold on. Let me just jump back. So those 4 boxes, loaded boxes, 140 baits to get to 1.
That's to get to 4. So, for
Wow.
example, this is my Dime 10 box. You can see it's loaded. And we
Yeah.
actually built 83 different prototypes to get the action. And it's not just about the action. Like, you know how you can fish these baits. You want to be able to fish them slow or burn them fast to get reacting strikes. They have to get to a desirable depth. But number one for me is getting an action or catch rate built into the bait that allows you as the angler to catch more fish. So to do that, this is where the lab facility, and you can't see it here, but we have a casting tank that gives us a
Yeah.
general angler perspective. So imagine you're on this casting deck. There's this big long pool, 60 feet long, like 13.5 foot deep, about 6 foot across. I'm casting my bait and I'm reeling my crankbait in, and I can evaluate any bait I want to. It could be a competitor benchmark. It could be one of these prototypes. It could be anything. And I can get the general angler perspective of the bait. So that's what the angler feels of the bait. But the thing I'm doing there is I'm kind of trying to understand the basic, I guess, parameters of bait tracking. So like, a lot of times baits, like, I can get the perfect action, but it'll blow out with speed. I can't have
Right.
that. It has
Right.
to be a wide window or range that the angler can fish the bait, or else it's not going to be as successful in all situations that I want this bait to do good. I want guys to win a tournament with the bait, but I also want just your average weekend warrior or a kid. That's probably the most important thing for me, is I want, like, to build baits that like a kid can go out and catch fish on, and they're the future. So if they catch one fish on a bait that we build here, they're going to be hooked for life. And that's probably the most important thing.
Yeah.
So once we go past the casting tank, we have a float tank, and there's a lot of trade secrets involved. But what I can tell you is I can put the bait in the tank. I'll show you. Pretend there's flowing water, right?
Yeah.
So here is your dime, and it's swimming in the float tank. Okay, it's moving in the tank. I can look at it from the front or the side view, right? I can look at the roll of the bait, and from the back end, there's a window back there. I can see the bait swimming. I can see the tail and how far the tail is moving. There's a lot of different actions of crankbaits that people may not understand, but there's
Yeah.
science and physics behind it. The pitch of a bait. So when you think of a bait and how it's moving through the water, you can have a flat pitch, you can have a high pitch, you can have anything in between. It has everything to do with the bill shape, size, the morphology of the body in relative to position, bill angle, all these factors. But it's not like one thing, like a roll that triggers the strike. It's one of them, but it's all these things working collectively or
Together.
simultaneously. It's like a package. So
Right.
I can go to the flow tank. I can put all of these baits prototypes in there. I can individually, they're individually numbered, right? I can quantify actions with mathematical models. We have some deep mathematical models going back like 30 some years. We've been doing hard bait research, probably more.
Yeah.
And we know what bass like, we know what walleyes like, we know what baits both species like, and we can fine tune the bait actions to catch more fish, elevate the catch rate for a better experience to the consumer.
Wow.
Once we have that dialed in, so this is a dime 6. This one took me 36 different prototypes with the team to get this one right. But 36 was like, I went over and beyond. It ended up being like prototype 17 that ended up winning. But we took our top 3 against the lead competitor of a balsa wood crankbait in the market, and we put it in this racetrack where we have fish. And we do this very scientific test. So there's treatments, replicates. There's like 5 fish per treatment. The fish are let go after they're acclimated for a period of time, like days. And then the lure goes around in this robotic angler at a standardized rate. It's all scientific based, right? There's a lot of science behind this bait engineering that we do here. So, and then we enumerate or count the number of times that the fish strike the bait. And it'll tell us if our baits win or lose versus the top baits that have ever existed in the category.
Wow.
I will tell you with the dime, using the math, I was able to, I submitted 3 prototypes, and in my head, I predicted exactly what happened. The one that was close to the action of the bait that we were targeting tied. The one that wasn't and was a little bit, I would say, a weaker performer,
Yeah.
it lost by 10%. And then the one that won by 159%, more strike response in the lab. So
Wow.
that's the lab. So it's a 2-stage filtering process. So we're not going to just let the lab fish tell us, hey, it's a good indication, right? The bait's going to be good. Then we go out to the field and do the field test head to head, where you're doing basically an A/B test. We'll fish this bait against the lead competitor. It'll be painted the exact same color for non-color bias. And we'll just switch. So it'll be 2 anglers in a boat. We'll flip back and forth.
Yeah.
And so we each fish the bait. We fish at the same gear, the same rods, casted the same fish, and we let the fish tell us. So that's really the premise behind our baits, is let the fish tell us what they like. We as lure designers, we don't really have the say. I could tell you that the bait has the best action I ever think, but I'm not a fish.
Right.
Let's let the fish tell us what works, and that's how we're going to build better baits. So the action, the filtering, that's like our power bait in Maxin and Gulp that we built through those platforms, through chemoreception and lab testing that we do there.
Yeah.
That's how we filter out top actions in hard baits. It's a filtering process all the way until the end, and the fish say yes. If they don't, back to the drawing board. And it's been back to the drawing board before for me.
Dan, I'm blown away. Like, and I actually felt like I knew a little bit of how you guys did this. I had no idea it was that complex, and I love it. I love to hear that. And ultimately letting the fish make the final decisions is that makes total sense, right? I mean, that's what we're after. We're after more bites, more fish. I love that. The other thing is, I think you really picked a good bait as an example. And I have one here too. It's really the Dime series become one of my favorite because I love the versatility of the Dime. Like the Dime is one for me that works winter, spring, summer, fall, works in different water clarities. I just feel like it's versatile. But I wanted to touch back on a couple things that you said. The one is repetition. And I want you to just dive in a little bit more because, listen, I fished a lot of other baits in the past, balsa, cedar, some that were just different materials. And I could never, I never had great repetition of a bait. Like I would find one, I would start catching them, and then the bill would break or something would happen, or I'd snag it and lose it. And I'm like, oh, it's the end of the world, right? Because one of the things I love about the dime and a lot of these hard baits is you guys have like, they're the same. Like I can have 20 chartreuse bluebacks, which DT6, which by the way, one of my favorite colors, Dan, you know that. This is one of my favorites. And they all run the same. How do you guys get that to how does that work? Tell me about that.
When you think of it, like it is variable with woods, right? The density can vary by tree. We know that it's been out in the literature. It's been out there. People know some parts of the tree are more dense than the other parts. Some older trees are more dense than, the other trees. But what you have with this is you have a precision built crankbait out of plastic. Now, what I should mention is when you look at this bait and it's a plastic bait and we're going after balsa, it took me over 10 years of working here from 2010 to 2020 to crack this balsa code. And we did it with flash disc technology. So I just wanted to mention that because people might be wondering like, hey, we went after a balsa bait, but plastic, like some people throw around that, hey, their baits have balsa action. No, they don't. And I can tell you because I have a float tank that literally was built in the 90s. At that time, it was like $100,000 piece of equipment. I don't know what it'd take to build today, but I can quantify balsa baits and I quantified this. And that's why I took 140 different prototypes. It's not easy. And to build that. So these dime series baits, plastic material, but we had to really work and get everything positioned perfectly to have balsa characteristics, but consistently. So that's where I'm going to answer your question. Every one of these baits is made consistently. It's a two-part, two-body construction. It's welded together. It's got all the same internal weights. So like a tungsten weight transfer, not lead or variable weight that changes. The flash disc technology, it's all the same weight. Everything is very consistent. When you're talking about the old wooden lures, a lot of it was different. The amount of lead, they poured some in, they drilled some in. The wood density was different. I quantified wood baits from many, many competitors, the best there ever really were. Going back with David Fritz coming in here, and they were all inconsistent. I would buy 10 of this brand, one of the brand we look at when we were building this bait, and every single one would have a different action, high variation, right? So that was one thing that was unachievable with this, was bringing consistent action every single time. But something that's also very durable. It's also clear and translucent. So think of that like wood bait's not translucent. And I know there's other plastic baits out there. I'm not saying that this is the only translucent bait, but it's probably the only translucent bait with balsa action that I can guarantee is balsa action by how we look at the actions out there in the market today. So super proud of this.
That is key sometimes too, is that translucent body is definitely key sometimes.
Yeah, and I mean it was a pure research bait. And me as a research guy, I mean, I'm a guy who, when I went to college, my background, the reproductive endocrinology of largemouth bass. So that was my study. And so I looked at, sex steroid hormones in the blood of a fish through time and how it influenced the reproduction of a fish through light and temperature changes throughout a season. So this research, this is my wheelhouse. Love it. Wow. And there's all kinds of people that work here on the team that think the same way.
That's incredible. That's incredible. Having that background, I'm sure is important. And the other thing I wanted to say real quick, and I want to get on to, we keep having the same question pop up. So I'm going to get on to that, but almost all of you guys up there in Spirit Lake here. And here's what I love. So you guys are like engineers, scientists, degrees. You're way smarter than anybody I know, but you guys fish. And I think that's a big deal too, because there is this element of, this real world, like you said, taking it out, doing the testing. That's a big deal. So I love that you guys all fish.
Yep.
Dan, I'm seeing this question pop up over and over and over again. We've got Joe, we've got Tony, but like all these guys have basically asked the same question, a little bit different ways, but they're all asking the same thing, which is what makes a crankbait good? Okay. Now listen, that's a super broad question.
Yeah.
You already said that there's all these different factors, right? From the profile to the color to the sound to the vibration. But I really want to focus in on action. Let's focus in on action. So from an action perspective, like what, I guess that is a good question. What makes a crankbait good? What makes one crankbait perform and the other not catch any from an action standpoint?
Right. Well, first and foremost, there's some stuff I can't talk about because it's trade secret stuff, so I can get so deep. But what makes a crankbait good, again, and I'm going to show you a different bait. Here's like a money badger. And in all of these baits, I'm going through the same process, right?
Awesome bait. Yeah.
Yeah. So this is a crayfish, kind of a hard thumping action bait that we have. So, different actions, different presentations. So you have a dime, right? Shad style, kind of a mid action. Every action has its time and place, but action is number one. So that is in every hard bait that I try to develop, every soft bait that Kyle and team try to develop.
Yeah.
We try to focus in on action. Action is number one. If your bait has lousy action, you're not going to catch anything. I don't care how many times you throw that bait. The goal is try to elevate action using what we understand from our history of motion analysis and fish and field testing and lab test to increase catch rates. So a good example, and I'll just bring this up. Walleye, flicker shad. You know what a flicker shad is. It's a shad style bait. And that was developed way back before I came here. But that was kind of the cornerstone, which kicked off our hard baits because, we kind of went after a shad style bait with two top pros in the walleye industry. And we went head to head and we were trolling them. And it was all about the catch rate. They could be trolled right against the same or equal bait of a different brand side by side. But the catch rates, we're looking at targets of like 2 to 3, maybe 4 to 1 catch rates. That seals the deal. If it ties, I'm not really interested in tying. I'm interested in winning because winning, and I'm not trying to sound like super confident with that, but I want to win because I want the people that buy our products to love our products. That's all. That's really what I care about. I want people to buy a Berkeley bait, and I want them to have a great success story with it. So they want to keep fishing because the future is fishing for all of us. And so when I look at the actions of a bait, it definitely matters. And one, I'll say this, I'll just grab this stunner, for example, because this is what I did. So there's a lot of jerk baits out there, right? And the stunner won the Bassmaster Classic, I don't know, 2021 maybe or something like that. But what we were able to do with this was exaggerate the roll a little bit more than other jerk baits on the market. So when you're snapping this bait and moving it, it's got the shimmy in it and everything. But as this bait is basically darting through the water column, it's rolling and that's exaggerated. So side flash is one of the main things or components of a lure drawing power to get a strike response. So there's all different kinds. This bait has a different rolling action than this bait, but each one is dialed in. So that's one thing. And other than that, it's a lot of math. It's a lot of slow motion video analysis. Because I'm looking at things at a level, I would say the micro level. I don't want to just look at it in real time, I'm looking at it frame by frame. And I'm going to the nth degree to understand the bait and the motion attributes that can make it successful.
It's incredible. It's incredible. Real quick. So this is the other little research that I did here before the show. I wanted to define it. And so I just Googled it, real easy, use the Google machine. So action or movement is defined as the process of doing something, typically to achieve a specific aim or finished deed. And the deed in this case is catching more fish. We're trying to catch fish with that action of the bait. I just want to keep diving into that because that to me is still, as a fisherman, it is still like when I tie on a crankbait, that action is what I think is why the fish bite it, right?
Right.
And sometimes I think they bite it. That action creates like a hunger strike, right? Like you mentioned the money badger. I feel like sometimes that money badger's moving like a crawfish. The fish are feeding on crawfish. It's natural, it's real, the color, the shape, and boom, they eat it because they're hungry. And then
Right.
other times, Dan, I feel like I tie on a bait, maybe like a dime 10, and I'm cranking like an outside edge of grass and I'm ripping it out of the grass. And that action as it pulls out of the grass, then all of a sudden, boom, the rod loads up. And then I feel like that action sort of made him react. How does it, from your perspective, how does an angler go about picking the right action? What is the right action that he needs? Is it forage based? Is it water temperature based? Is it all of the above? Is it water clarity based? How does he pick the right action?
Well, that's a really good question because you don't know. I mean, you can get an idea of the bait action when you look at the bait on the shelf, right?
Yeah.
If I see a bill that looks big, right, I'm gonna look at that and think, oh, okay, this probably has action XYZ versus a small lipped bait, which is going to have a very, very different action, a very lazy type action because you can't generate the energy into the bait. So,
Right.
you think of a bait like this, right? And it's got this bill. And I should mention too, like bill angle, bill shape, and that pull point, those three things are
Yeah.
probably once I get the shape right, are the primary foundations of action in a bait.
Yeah.
And I can change those infinitely. Like I can't tell you how many times I changed the bill angle on this bait. Move that pull point a half a millimeter forward or backwards, and it made the bait not any good. It
See,
would blow
see,
out. The action wouldn't be right.
yeah. See that to me, that is like the juice. Like that, like listening to that, dude, that is so trick. Like, like that is the absolute juice. When a guy looks at a bill, is there a generalization that you can make based on
Yeah.
like bill shape and angle and then how that bait's going to respond?
Let me just show you the difference between a dime four. Let me see if I can get these. Okay. They're kind of lined up. Let me see. Okay. Right there. You see
Completely
how the
different angle.
Yep, you
Completely
see how the
different angle.
dime 4 has a more steeply pitched angle, this has a
Yep.
more forward protruding angle. So this
Yep.
is gonna be a tighter action bait by design. So you think of this, that's that classic shad style action, moderate action, I would say.
Yep.
This dime 4 with that steeper dive curve or on the lip, not of the bait, that actually gives it more of an aggressive. So you're kind of hybridizing shad and crayfish. When you look
Mm.
at a bait like this money badger, I'll show you this. Yeah, look at this. Big bill, big
Yep.
exaggerated. I wanted a round lip, but exaggerate it so it deflects good.
Yeah.
But this is a big long bill that has a very steep angle and it's a very crawdad, hard thumping action. I like this in
Right.
the spring. Believe it or not, as soon as the ice goes off the lakes here, even at like Spirit Lake Okoboji, you
Yep.
can burn this thing, and if you impart a pause, they'll come up. They'll come up and eat it. We had an amazing. Kyle and I went out. I think it was Corey Sprengel, Walleye Pro, but he fished a lot of bass stuff. We went out and we fished this bait back, I think in like 2021 of April. Water was 40 degrees and we caught 120 bass in just 6 hours fishing this, burning this thing. And prior to that, even Corey was saying like, nah, jerk baits, hair jigs. But growing
There
up throwing
you go.
crankbaits along the banks of West Okoboji when I was a kid, I started throwing crankbaits just for fun when the ice got out, and I found I was just burning them, and I started catching smallmouth like crazy. Well, we caught a ton of largemouth and smallmouth fishing that. It was an amazing, amazing day. This one I think caught me 70 fish that day. It's pretty beat up. We called it Killer Craw just because it had a different name. I can't say it on the podcast, but it was kind of a joke at Corey Sprengel. I can't say that, but I think the bait, the shape of the bait, the arcing of this bait gives you kind of more of an aggressive, like, hey, this bait's going to be more of aggressive bait
Yeah.
action. And then when you're to go back and kind of look at like what are the actions fish like, when do you pick them, why? I think a lot of that comes through experience. Like I said, like I've been fishing crankbaits my whole life since I was a kid, and I just feel like you start picking these things up as you fish more crankbaits. Did you not pick up, hey, this shape, this action is right for these situations? And I think
Oh
it's
yeah.
time on the water.
Oh
And
yeah.
that's what I think we have here is we have guys that have time on the water. I'm not a tournament fisherman, but I'm super avid and I fish my whole life, and that's what I live and breathe to do is fish
Yeah.
and build baits. I just look at it as I'm a professional lure designer and
Yeah.
developer for this company, and nothing excites me more. And the same for Kyle with soft baits and the team members here is we're just trying to build these baits with the right actions, and it's always action for these baits we build in, and even the soft baits. But soft baits have the separate advantage where they have like the chemoreception, the scent and flavor ingredients, which that's probably a different podcast. But
Yeah.
I just wanted to mention that about soft baits. The whole Berkeley story is soft
Yeah.
bait scent and flavor technology. So I didn't want to go past that without at least saying something about that. So
Yeah. That's awesome. And I can tell you, you hit it on the head. I think, as you spend more time on the water, you start to, personally believe things that have had success, and you hit like every one right there. But I did jot a note down, like when I'm picking hard bait action, it's like, these are my three things. The first one you just mentioned, I think you said it perfectly, is like forage. Like I'm really conscious of forage, and I've always, since I was a kid, I've been big into match to hatch.
right,
So I'm very, very like I'm focusing on like what are they eating? And if they're eating crawfish, I want more of that crawfish thump. If they're eating herring or something that's it's moving less, it's more in line. I want less of a action, less of a big movement. So
right,
I'm forage conscious. I'm temperature conscious. So generally, like that example you just gave bucks the trend, but generally, the colder the water for me, the tighter the wobble. Dan,
hmm
I don't think there's a better cold water bait than the Fritz side, and I'm being 100% honest. Like
yep,
I feel
the
like it's
killer.
juice, and then like a dime, I think is a great moderate water temperature crank, and
Mm.
then as that water temperature gets hot, like one of my best summer cranks is the deeper money badgers. Like when I need a bait that's just thumping, and I speed reel it. I do a lot of speed cranking with that. So
Same.
temperature based, and then the last one's clarity, and that's a big one for me too. It's like it seems like the cleaner the water, the tighter I want that act, the less action I want. And it seems like as I get stain or sort of get like really ugly, then I want that thump. I want more of that displacement, that doo, doo,
That's
doo.
right.
But listen, for sure, if you're watching or listening to this, go out and fish them. Let the fish tell you. I think that's a great rule,
Well, I mean, I wasn't expecting this hard action crayfish bait to be so good after that, in that cold water period. It just happened to be, and
And it
that's
is a lot of places too, Dan. Like I've
yeah, like
heard people,
Ozarks and things
yeah,
like
the
that.
Ozarks, Table Rock, the water's in the 40s and they're catching them on that thing.
And that's kind of where I think this comes into play. And that's why we called it the money badger. It was so good, it was money, and we put dollar signs on the disc weights as a like, hey, that's our stamp of approval. This bait's money. Um, but yeah, generally speaking, there are things that buck the trend, like that bait in the cold water, because I originally think the same thing. Cold water, tight action, warms up, go to the dime, and then go to the money badger. If it
Yeah.
gets warmer water, reaction strike stuff, but then dirty water, like I'm thinking like I need a harder thumping bait in dirty water to get their attention. And that's kind of how I always grew up thinking about it too. But I've seen some baits that like, and it was crystal clear water. I don't know what it is about this bait, but clean water and hard action, they bite it, and they do bite this thing good like all year round. I can catch fish on this bait, but it's something, there's something with that bait and that action. And when I was working on that action in the lab, and this one's interesting, it's just like the dime. I mean, you look here, I don't know if you can see it, this one, it's got version history
Yep.
25. This one I think took over 30 prototypes just to get right.
Wow.
But it was all about getting that action, that feel right. And I think for most crankbait guys who fish a lot, they can start fine tuning in their head, like, okay, you reel it in, right? This got a tight action, this has a hard thumping action, and you kind of know what the fish like.
Yeah.
And you kind of gauge it that way.
Yeah.
And I feel like there's some anglers that are really in tune with that, but
Yeah.
then there's also like we can take it to that special level with the flow tank and actually quantify those thumps and vibrations scientifically and get meaningful data from them and apply them into our baits.
Yeah, it's amazing. Every time you bring it back to this, how much science you guys are putting into it, it blows me away. I did want to go back real quick, Dan. To we had another question come through, and it's a really good question, so I want to put it through. Basically, the question is, how does line and water temperature affect these actions and movements that we're talking about? I think this is a great question. This might be a winner chicken dinner here if we're giving something away for questions. How does that affect it? And I kind of feel like I know, but I'd love to hear it from you. How does guys throwing light line versus heavy line, guys fishing in 40-degree water versus 90-degree water, is that affecting this stuff?
Yeah, I mean, number one, your line diameter is going to affect your dive depths, dive curve. So if I fish like 15 fluoro versus like 10 or 12, I'm going to get a deeper dive curve with lighter line diameters. It's going to cut through the water. It's more hydrodynamically sound. Um, Different lines, manageability, things can change with water temperatures. So, but for the most part, like I'm pretty much straight. I'm going to go with braid with a fluorocarbon leader. Pretty much what I do with anything with a bait cast, anything with spinning rod and reel. I'll throw straight fluorocarbon, sometimes cranking or whatever with bait cast. But I honestly, the line is important for me for the visual element. So like if I'm fishing where I need to see my line move. So like here, if I'm fishing this bait, here's a good example, the stunna.
Yeah,
Sometimes you have those little tick bites, like a bluegill pecks the end
yeah.
of your
It's like a worm.
rod.
It's like a
There,
worm bite. Think.
yeah, and I need the white like braid. So like our X9 braid or our forward braid or fire line, I need
Yeah,
to see that line move so that white stands out on a dark background of the lake. Dude, I'm not even telling you, like I had little slack in my line. I couldn't even see my rod tip move, but the line moved. And dude, it was like 6 pound largemouth on the stunna one
crazy,
fall. So like
crazy.
line matters. The color of line matters to you as an angler visually. It
Yeah,
matters like fluorocarbon for invisibility factors. I like no stretch in my line. I'm a huge fan of this. I know we did this podcast last time, the Gin
yeah.
Clear line.
Awesome
Dude,
line.
this stuff's phenomenal. So
Yeah.
this is like going to be my go-to line from now on. It's just manageable, strength, durability. Like this stuff is amazing. So
That's awesome. The one last, and this is not a question, this is one that I had, and it's something you hit on. You hit it quick, and I want to go back on it. And
that,
it's that roll. And I think you were talking about it in reference to the stunner. But
yeah,
tell me more about that, because that is one, even as a guy I've been doing it 31 years at the tour level, I think that one, I miss that one a lot. And I think it's critical, but as a fisherman, I think I miss how important that role is. And I guess not only in relation to the movement of the bait, but you mentioned like flash. Talk about that just a second more.
right. Well, okay. So like if you look at a frit side, right, and I don't have one right on my desk. I had one, but I got it. It's yeah, I can't show you that one. But so like there, so like the frit side, the way it rolls, when we first built that, we targeted that balsa wood action, right? And I
Yeah.
know I keep sounding vague, but there's like there's trade secrets and things that I can't divulge all the secrets. Um, but when you look at that roll, it's one of the widest amplitude rolls of any bait. And by amplitude, I mean like it's this wide range of roll. It's probably the largest side roll for a little compact bait that's out there for a
Wow.
size bait in a flat side like that. So it's important because when you're reeling that thing in, that thing's flashing like a beacon on off on off. And I think
Right.
like that's an important thing too is colors. So like contrast. If I look at a bait and you have a dark back, and a lot of times like you'll see minnow profile baits, it'll come down here. Actually, as it's rolling, you want it to kind of go on off, and that's a flash. Like
Yeah,
a
you
bait
want that.
doesn't, a
You
bait
want the
doesn't,
flash, and you
yeah,
want the contrast. The
maybe
contrast
it's maybe it's better to show you with this bait, but like as this bait's
Yeah.
rolling, you know, dark light, that
Right.
contrast signifies natural bait fish. So
Yes.
I get really in tune with that and I build it in specific to every bait. Every bait has a specific rolling um I guess feature that that bait has that makes it really, I guess, good in its own way, in its own form. So,
Yep.
like, it's just contrast on off. Flash cannot be achieved without a dark back. If it was just a solid color when it rolls, it's just going to do this
Yeah.
in or a flat surface. So, flat
Yep.
surface with a dark back, and it's going to have that on off flash, and that triggers bites. So,
Dude, that to me is like the one I think that people just don't pick up on. And
right. And
again,
there's a
I'm,
lot.
I'm guilty of it myself, you know.
Yeah, and
But
there's a
that
lot
is
of
so
there's a
important.
lot of levels to it, Mike, that I can't really talk about, but like just all these different baits have different flash
Yeah.
that you build into the bait, and it's all based on what we're targeting. So, you know, with a money badger, it's different than a fritz side, and it's
Yeah.
different with the fritz side than it is a dime. Each
Yep.
one is different. Each one is optimized for certain water temperatures too. And you brought that up earlier, like water temperature. How's it important? There
Yeah.
is times where certain flash profiles of these baits and the speed of how fast you're actually reeling the bait and imparting action as the angler running the setup,
Yeah.
it's all important and the fish will be definitely more in tune to certain ones over the other. That's why we all buy a lot of crankbaits. And you don't just go out on the lake with one crankbait. You have a lot of colors, you have a lot of different options, and you have a lot of different crankbaits
Yeah.
to solve and unlock that puzzle on the lake every day.
Yeah.
Every day is different.
It's fun. That to me is one of the funnest things about fishing, but especially about hard baits. I love that process. I feel like we picked up on a great tip here. If you're watching and listening, I can't remember the last time I fished a crankbait, hard bait that was just one color. Like I mentioned that chartreuse blue, and that's one of my favorite colors in the dime and all the size of the dime. And it's that flash that's important. Dan, I'm going to put you on the spot
Okay.
here as a guy that's been here behind the scenes for a long time, designing this, testing them, catching fish with them. Give us, I don't even want one. Give us your top 3 colors of hard baits. And it could be any hard bait, no specifics, but I just want to hear, what are your top 3 colors in hard baits?
Okay. Give me a minute here.
Okay. He had to use the Berkeley as a like waking him up. It's
That's
almost
right.
like a Red Bull.
You know, it's like the Folgers commercial, right? Except I'm opening the power bait and I'm smelling it, and now I'm ready to go. So colors, right? Translucent colors. One of my go-to, as you can see, I keep bringing it up, is this stealth shad. We sell it on a lot of baits.
Love it.
It's a phantom shad color or
Love
baitfish
it.
color. This is like, I think about this in clear water situations, but I'm telling you, like, it works everywhere. It doesn't matter.
Yeah, I love that color.
So I like this for clear waters. It's really good in cloudy days too. But I can go to any lake in America and catch fish on this bait.
Yeah.
This color. I would say the next color I like are colors like this. I like a white background.
Yeah.
So this is a herring profile that
That's the natural. That's that natural herring that you guys have. I love that.
Yeah,
color.
like an HD herring.
HD. You're right.
Yeah, so I really like this color. It's really good, especially in a little bit dirtier water, to have that contrast and that white. You can just see it looks really, really good. It looks alive. And darker profile colors in crayfish patterns. So like that. I think that covers translucent bait fish, opaque bait fish, and kind of a crawdad pattern. So do I fish colors like fire tiger? I don't like colors like that, but every now and again they work. Dirty water, if it's like mud, I'll throw something that's like super bright. I think we have a color in the money badger, and I think we might have it in the dime too, called blaze. It's like that blaze orange.
Yeah.
Surprisingly good color. Yeah, it's right there. How did that happen? I swear.
Great spring color and great muddy water color. Like you said it, when I that's my color. When I get to a place and I see like Yoo-hoo chocolate milk, and it's like, it's normally not like that, but you have like a big rain or something, dude, that color's vicious. Vicious.
Yep. That's is
awesome.
it's one good color.
I'd agree with you on your top 3 colors. I think they're staples. And then I kind of saving this one for last. And again, Dan, I know you got things you can say and can't say. So I'm gonna make this 2 parts.
Okay.
So the first one is, what is in the Berkeley lineup today that's out that you consider an absolute sleeper hard bait? That's the first part. And then the second part, and I don't know what you can or can't say, is, but what's next for hard baits with and not necessarily, I don't want you to give me a name, or I don't want you to show it, but if you can generalize what we're going to see next. Let's start with sleeper. Is there a sleeper?
Man, I don't know if there's a sleeper, if you will. Like, okay, so you can see behind me, I have a bait wall, and it goes like, I got like a super tackle box, tackle shop kind of vibe going in here. I would say I don't know if it's not a sleeper, but it's a sleeper in bass. It's this finisher. Yeah. So this is the forward facing bait that we launched a couple years ago. Yes. And I'm just like super proud of this. Like we created like, northern glide bait, the darting baits that dart back and forth. It sinks down the water column, but it's not a piece of lead. There's no fin on the back. We cracked this code, like, to be able to take a fin off a bait like that and put 2 treble hooks and create a bait like this, that you can throw, and it's great for all species. It just looks like a fleeing minnow, but it sinks down the water column. It's heavy enough to stay down and get down quick, but with any rod movement, whether you twitch it or snap your rod to get it to dart, it's like a sinking jerk bait. That's what I can amount it to. Or you can just stroll it in like a minnow.
It's a good one. That's a good one.
This bait, it catches all kinds of fish. It would be a sleeper, I think, for bass. I know some true bass heads that really love this bait, but that's the finisher. And then trying to think, we got this new shallow money badger that came out. This one's exciting. We've caught hundreds and hundreds of fish field testing this bait. Just came out, I think it would be last fall. So this came out. We got like 20 different colors, super cool, shallow, circuit board bill, crawdad bait. So it's a really cool bait. That's really fun. And then as for like the future stuff, man, I could have kept going, by the way, with those baits. Like I could have kept going. Oh, the jack, by the way. I know that's a bait you fish.
The jack's awesome.
The jack started coming around. So I got this bait. Yeah, let's talk about this. This jack, man, this thing is it's a skinny lipless bait. You kind of rip it or slowly pull it and let it fall down. This color has been so good. Gunnersville, it's catching fish on Murray all the way down there when it was cold. You fished it a lot. You were showing me 7-pounders on this at practice.
Crazy. It's crazy. There's something about that jack that they just like. And I was putting it head to head against like War Pig and some other lipless vibrations. It's something about that jack they just like. It's pretty special.
So that's a cool one. So those would be like, I gave you asked for like 1, I gave you 3. So,
yeah.
But and in the future, you wouldn't believe the stuff that we have coming down the pipeline here. Some amazing soft and hard baits. Again, I think we have the best team in the industry for building baits. Like this is like a dream job. I come here every day and I just love it. Love the people, love my time at work. Doesn't even feel like work. To be honest, just a total amazing opportunity to be here day in and day out to represent this company has been the dream of mine since I was fishing this stuff. But the stuff coming in hard baits and soft baits are going to blow your mind. We got some of the stuff that's never been seen before, kind of new things in the industry. And I think I'm just super proud of it, proud of the team. And you'll start seeing it trickle in here soon.
Well, I can't wait to see it. I had in my notes that you guys on the hard bait side, you're working on like 36 different new things a year. That's an unbelievable amount. I can't wait to see some of this stuff that's coming down the pipe. For crying out loud, we've got meteorites and UFOs landing now everywhere. So I can't wait to see what's going to happen in the hard bait.
Yeah, we'll beam down some new hard baits and soft baits for everybody.
It's gonna be awesome. Dan, I appreciate you coming on the show, dude. I learned so much, and I always considered myself like a cranking guy that I thought I knew a lot, but I learned a lot today. I cannot appreciate you coming on so much, and I would you come on again? Because I got another one of these I want to talk about. I want to talk about sound.
Okay.
Would you come back on again with me to talk sound?
Anytime. And when the new baits drop, we should do something on the new baits too. There's just so much to talk about. And one last thing, this blue on this bait was inspired by you. I don't even know when, but you came in here and you were working on, I think, the smash tube, and you probably didn't even know me at the time, but I did work on that project behind the scenes. And we did some colors with that blue, and that blue in this brown is what makes this color so good. So I learned that from you. We put it in a hard bait.
Powder blue is a great color. Dan, thank you for coming on. I appreciate it. And I hope I get to see you real soon. I hope I get up to Spirit Lake. Usually up there once a year. Hopefully I get up there again and not only talk about fishing and go fishing, but maybe do a little metal detecting too while I'm up there.
Oh man, yeah, we'll definitely do whatever you want, man. I'd love to do both.
That's awesome. Well, Dan, appreciate you coming on. Thanks for all that info. Thanks for dropping the knowledge on us here at Ike Bytes. We really appreciate it.
Thanks, buddy.
There you go. Yes, Dan Spengler, everybody. Dude, Dan is listen, he's a good dude. He's a smart dude. He knows what he's doing, but he's a good guy. Like, I've known Dan, and he's a really, really good dude. And for him to come on and drop that stuff is incredible. And that's what this show is all about. We're trying to give you the behind the scenes, the stuff that's not talked about, the science, the info that guys are trying to keep under their jacket, keep under their cuff. We're trying to give that to you. I hope you like it. I want to remind you that your comments, questions, so important to this show. If you've got topics and or guests that you want to hear about, leave them in the comments or drop us a note. We'd love to hear about it. We're going to try to really bring you unique stuff every single week. Also, let me remind you that you can watch old episodes anytime. Head on over to the Berkeley YouTube page, or also go to the Mike Iaconelli Fishing YouTube page, and you're going to be able to watch a lot of these old episodes. Want to thank you guys for tuning in. Want to thank Dan for coming on and giving us all that great info. And for sure, we will see you at the next one. This was Ike Bytes, presented by Berkeley Labs. Hope you have a great day. Bye, everybody.
Understand the fish. Design the bait. No, redesign it. Trim this. Add that. Definitely more of that. Perfect. Will they smash it? Smashing it and holding it. That's how we do it. That's the formulas. Tweak the colors. Make it sing. Make it dance. Optimize design for that lateral line. All with a single track mind for getting hit, staying bit, ripping lips, for making any fish your fish. That's our science. Berkeley science, baby.
Hey, everybody. Do you want to learn more about the art of bass fishing? Do you want to learn about new techniques and secret rigging methods to catch more fish? Then head on over to my YouTube channel, Mike Iaconelli Fishing on YouTube. Every Thursday, a new piece of content dropping to help you catch more fish.